final limited district before we have your final closing comments. And this one is, it relates to the $10 million in the escrow account, or approximately that amount. And it comes down to, do you believe the limited district or the MUD can legally refund the $10 million in reserve funds? And we'll start with place 2. Cindy.
No, I do not believe legally the strategic partnership says we can refund that money to the citizens. And as if the limited district, when the limited district forms, and I'm on that board, we can examine the legality of the agreement, but I truly believe there is no way we can legally refund that to the taxpayers.
Go to the panel.
Some concern, no, I don't believe so either. And I've heard there was some talk of perhaps getting a tax reprieve or a temporary period where there would be no taxes that would be subsidized from the surplus fund. I believe that that's under reconsideration now because the concern is if you have to jump the tax rate too high after that 2 years, there's the risk of triggering a rollback election. So I don't believe that the funds would be used necessarily to subsidize taxes might be the best idea. And I may be speaking out of place.
The main thing is you don't think it can be refunded.
I don't.
Okay.
I've asked the question several times to several different people, and every answer I've got has been no. And so no, I don't believe that it can be given back to the people. However, I still don't think it's a closed issue, but I do believe, though, that there's going to be a lot of worms involved in trying to get it back to the people, and that when people might be thinking that if they can get it back, that they may find that there's going to be legal and accounting costs involved that would diminish what you are going to get back. So consequently, I don't think the effectiveness of giving it back is probably going to be there. So that means that that money has to go to the limited district. That's a given, okay? Now the question is, how is it going to be used when it goes to the limited district? That is what we have to really focus on. And how is it going to be used effectively? And if you don't give it to the limited district, by the way, it will go to Austin. Now you're going to ask Austin to promise to give it back to you. And who are they going to give it back to? Well, they don't have a limited district here to give it back to. They got to have some other organization to give it back to. All right? Who's that organization going to be? And what control are you going to have over that organization? If it is a neighborhood association, they're certainly not elected. You can't get too angry with them if they're not elected as to how they're going to use it. You'd hope they'd use it right, but at least you've got a limited district, you have some say. I think that's why it's important to keep that limited district.
Okay, thank you. We go on down to place 3.
My understanding from talking to legal and accounting experts about this since I've been on the board since November of '06 is that the answer to that question is no, it cannot be refunded. Though if there's some way it could be refunded, it will become an accounting nightmare because it will be refunded to the property owners who own the property over that period of time. It's collected in a variety of people that own different pieces of property. And also there's some tax issues about how much tax was paid by that property owner at that time. So while I've been in my home for the last 14 years, my next door neighbor hasn't been. And I'm just aware that becomes kind of the worms, as Dwayne says, there becomes a lot of worms in trying to make that decision. So the answer to your question is, no, I don't think it can be refunded.
Okay.
But the lawyer may have one. But the lawyer may really know.
Yeah, I've read this thing backward and forward, and I don't really see anything in there that says that you can't refund it. it says that the money will be placed in a fund for the limited district, and then the limited district will use it, but that is after the limited district is established. There's nothing in there that says what happens to the money before the limited district is established. So that's going back to a question of interpretation. If it turns out that it can be refunded, I'm going to look into ways, how could it be refunded? One thing that I'm looking at, that I feel, it may not have to be an accounting nightmare. Whatever you paid for your house, if somebody I don't know, 5 years ago, they paid taxes, they sold their house today, are they going to get the money? No, because the new owner paid for those taxes and as part of the sales price. There's ways of looking at it. And what I'm saying is, there's ways of looking into this to see if the money can be refunded. Ideally, though, I think that the money should, it will be used for the limited district. Number one, if the limited district is approved. If it's not approved, then that's why I approached the city. I wanted to save that money for Anderson Mill. And Dean, Dwayne, I'm sorry. You've been saying some things here that I think there's some misstatements on your part, in particular about the money and where it's going to go to. The agreement with the city was not that it goes to a neighborhood association or to a limited district if a limited district doesn't fail, if the limited district fails. It's going to go to be spent for projects in Anderson Mill, and those projects would be those that we as residents come up with. And I came up with ideas, a branch library, a police substation, converting the one over here into a police substation. I know they got their eye on it, but they just don't have enough money for it. We do.
Well, I think I was right then, because what you're saying is that somebody's got to define that here. And who is that going to be?
The citizens, these people sitting in the audience.
Okay, time. Move on. Okay, before, you guys. Let's go to John and go next, please.
And the question was, I'm sorry.
Okay. Can the $10 million be refunded?